This has monumental implications for the Canucks as a recent ownership move adds even more fuel to the fire set off by NHL Insider Nick Kypreos despite the latest ownership statements. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first, if you're not a part of the 7,000 subscribers that we currently have and you want to help us reach our goal of 8,000 subscribers before the NHL draft in June, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the updates as they drop. And with that, let's hop straight into the first topic of the day, which is, like the title suggests, has monumental implications. So, on Friday night, in a statement by the Aquilini Investment Group, acquired by Post Media, it was announced that Paolo Aquilini has resigned from his position as the alternate governor with the Vancouver Canucks, leaving the team's ownership group. The reason behind his departure wasn't explained. The reveal of Paolo's decision came as there was some speculation that the Aquilini Group was pondering selling part of or the majority of the hockey club. However, the organization firmly say that the Canucks aren't for sale. In the statement that they put out following Paolo's resignation, they released it right here. If you want to pause it and take a read, you can go ahead. If not, I'll read it here as well. Saying, in response to various media inquiries that we have received and due to a private family matter, Paolo has resigned from his positions with the team and will be leaving the ownership group. The remaining owners take their role as stewards of this community asset with deep responsibility and pride and remain fully committed to bringing the cup to Vancouver. This team holds great meaning for the family and is not for sale. There will be no further comments. And this is coming right off the heels of a Nick Kypreos report in the Toronto Star, where he was talking about the possibility of Vancouver being for sale, saying that one question starting to circulate out of Vancouver is whether or not the Aquilini family is contemplating selling part or the majority of the Canucks. There's speculation that Luigi Aquilini, the founder of Aquilini Investment Group, and his two sons, Paolo and Roberto, who have no active roles in the hockey club, may have grown a tad tired of the constant drama surrounding the team. The Canucks are run by Luigi's eldest son, Francesco, who is the chairman and governor. Market value for the hockey club in Rogers Arena is speculated to be between $2 to $3 billion per evaluations. So this is a huge report coming out from the Toronto Star, where there was a few reports on social media also saying that this is not the case. The Canucks are not for sale. And then the Aquilini Group coming out and saying that they are not for sale as well, firmly. However, with Paolo stepping down recently, this takes a bit of a turn in that sense, where Nick Kypreos saying that this is one of the things where the boys are growing tired of the drama. Maybe they're going to be leaving, and that's exactly what happened. Maybe that doesn't necessarily mean that they're selling the team, but that's one half of it that Kypreos was right about here, of one of them stepping down. So what could be next is a possible sale and maybe some other things. And if you guys aren't familiar with the Aquilini Group, if you guys are a recent Canucks fan or just aren't familiar with the ownership, they are made up of Father Luigi, as Nick Kypreos said, and his three sons, Francesco, Roberto, and Paolo. The group purchased half the shares of the Canucks in 2004 before buying out the remaining shares from then co-owner John McCaw Jr. in 2006. The Aquilini Group owns the team, Rogers Arena, and the Canucks AHL affiliate, the Abbotsford Canucks. They also own and operate the Vancouver Warriors of the National Lacrosse League. Francesco has been the face owner of the Canucks, serving as chairman and governor for the team, making the primary decisions and hiring management both on the hockey side and business side of the franchise. And in the era of this team, the team has only made the playoffs 9 times out of the 19 years that this family has owned the team, and only one appearance in the Stanley Cup final. Not exactly the legacy of success that they were looking for this team. And as far as off the ice, there hasn't been much urgency from the ownership group to find and build a practice facility for the Vancouver Canucks. And as of today, they're one of only 2 teams that don't have one, the other being the Calgary Flames, who will be opening theirs in 2027. On one positive off-ice note, there is renovations to Rogers Arena coming, which will include the installations of new seats in the 100 level before the start of the 2025-2026 season. So at least we have some renovations to look forward to with Rogers Arena. I know the practice facility, that was something that Rick Tocchet it ultimately drove him away from the Vancouver Canucks, or what it could have been part of it, how they don't have a practice facility, Calgary being the only other team in the NHL that doesn't have one with them, but they're going to be getting one in 2 years. Now it's time for Vancouver to get one, and we've seen so many reports where they've wanted a training facility, they've been talking about it, they've had plans for it. Well, at a certain point, you got to or hop off the pot. And it seems like the Canucks ownership group and the Aquilinis are just staying on that pot, and they're not trying to do anything with it. other than potentially sell this team, especially with the growing drama that they've had going on. And yes, I know what they said, and they came out and said that, yes, this team is not for sale, but a lot of teams tend to do that, and a lot of people tend to do that in trades too. How many times did we hear from the Vancouver Canucks that they weren't going to trade a player, or they weren't going to extend a player, and they go out and extend that player, they go out and they trade that player, or they go out and they don't sign that player after talking about wanting to extend them? That's exactly what happened with Rick Tocchet. I know that wasn't entirely in the Canucks' control. However, that was something where they expressed interest in doing it. They weren't able to do it. Brock Boeser they want to bring back, but they've apparently made not the greatest efforts of trying to make that happen. So where is the lie and where is the truth in these things, where if the Aquilini group is coming out and saying, yes, this team is not for sale, but everything else is indicating things that could be indicative of a sale potentially happening. You come out and say a sale's not happening, but yet you have one of your major parts of ownership step down. Yes, it wasn't involved in any of the business making decisions like Francesco is. However, it still is a big step down nonetheless, and someone who's been associated with this franchise as a partial owner. So nevertheless, it still is big. And as far as his primary role with the Canucks, it was on the community side of the team, where Francesco was the business side. He served as the president of the Canucks for Kids Fund for over a decade and co-funded the Canucks Autism Network with his wife Clara Aquilini. The charity was a passion project for Paolo and his family because of their personal experience raising an autistic child. Christian Aquilini, who also worked for the Canucks as a dressing room attendant. It's unclear exactly when Paolo stepped down as president of the Canucks for Kids Fund, but Michael Doyle, who was named president of business operations for Canucks Sports and Entertainment in 2021, is the current president of the charity and has been at least since some time during the 2022-2023 season. So Paolo's role within the organization has started to diminish even more so. But one thing he said is that the stewardship of this team is a huge responsibility. It is the management of what really is a public asset. It belongs to the people of British Columbia, and it is our job to handle that asset with great care to make sure we are doing everything possible both on and off the ice to win the Stanley Cup. Obviously, sounds like he loves this team, but all these things are indicating that over the years, his interest in this team or his position within this team has grown smaller and smaller, and he's just been on his way out, and this was just the final nail in the coffin of that. So there's been a lot of change happening with the Canucks over the past few seasons or so, where we've seen major things happening: coaching changes, player changes, ownership changes, management changes. It's been a big time of transition for the Canucks for the past 3 seasons, and potentially even before that. I know Travis Green, that was one that was just in and out the door here as well before Bruce Boudreau came in too. So there's a lot of things here where Vancouver's had a lot of turnover in the past few years, and basically in their entire existence, they have never really committed to people long term. We've always seen a big turnover rate happening within the Vancouver Canucks. And Paolo is no longer listed on the Canucks website as part of the ownership group. Neither is Christian Aquilini along dressing room attendants, though the retired Pat O'Neill is still listed as equipment manager. Both Paolo and Christian were still listed on the website as recently as April 20th, 2025, according to capture from the website Internet Archive. As pointed out by Ewan and Patrick Johnson of the Province, rumors of the Aquilini investment group selling the team could have their origins in the group seeking a valuation of the franchise in order to buy out Paolo's stake in the team. So, what's an easy way to get that buyout happening? Well, he steps down, you give him a nice severance check, and then you go on your merry way, and now you have a bigger valuation for the team, and now you have one less shareholder to worry about for making that sale of the team, so that everyone can just get rich. I know that sucks to be talking about on this, but the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. That's just the way it is. However, with this, I do think that this is a change that does need to happen for Vancouver. Ultimately, there's been a lot of drama. There hasn't been too much success in the Aquilini era. Like Tocchet was saying about the practice facility, how the Canucks do not have a training facility. That's a big thing that's been a major talking point amongst Canucks fans and on social media lately, as we didn't really talk about it until it just became a problem. And then it kind of exposed a lot of things that the Aquilinis haven't necessarily been putting the effort into as far as Rogers Arena. I know they're doing some renovations here, but it's been a long time coming as far as renovations to that arena. It's been in the central hub of downtown Vancouver, just outside downtown Vancouver, where it's still under a highway. It's still in the middle of a lot of traffic and a lot of foot traffic as well. And it is a very old arena, so it definitely needs some modifications and renovations. They're doing that, but is it too little too late? Practice facility, we have heard no plans of that happening, and that would still be a 2-year project at least, looking at how long it's taken the Calgary Flames to get one made. So are they just going to continue practicing at UBC for the unforeseeable future? Or are we going to see the Aquilinis sell this team, get a new owner in there who's just ready to get down to business, make things happen, make sure that this is a place that players want to come to, players that coaches want to come to? Because right now, it is not likely that Vancouver is going to get one of the most appealing coaching options that is out there after losing Rick Tocchet. And seemingly, with how Vancouver was willing to pay Tocchet the highest paid that they've ever paid a coach in franchise history, making him one of the highest paid coaches in the NHL, and he said no so he could be closer to his family. I know location is a big thing. Vancouver's on the other side of Canada. It's on the other side of the continent, basically, where it's on the West Coast along with the California teams. It's for us on the East Coast. It's a lot harder to stay up for those later games, but we power through it. But that's a big thing for a lot of players and coaches, where it's a major drawing point to go to places like California, major drawing point to go to places that on the West Coast like Vegas or even in Edmonton. But Vancouver doesn't have that same draw. It's a beautiful city. Yes, it rains a lot there. However, there is still some draw there. But it could be that the Aquilinis have a big part as to why some people don't want to go there. They know that they're just cheap. They're not going to want to spend on a training facility unless they're forced to. And even then, they still don't seem like they want to do it, because we haven't even heard any whispers of that even happening, due to everything being loud on social media about it, because that's been such a hot button topic. So it's crazy that with all this happening, the moves that are coming out of it is people stepping down. And that's usually not a good sign of things to come, no matter what they're saying. Yes, this is a big thing of they're coming out and saying, yeah, we're not selling the team and things like that. But in this case, it's a matter of don't tell me what your words are saying. Show me what your actions are doing. And that is exactly what's happening here, I think. And I do think in the foreseeable future, we will see a sale happen of sorts for the Vancouver Canucks and the Aquilini Group, whether it's majority or all of it. I think it's going to happen at some point in the next season or two, unless things just make a drastic turn for the better. But what do you guys think about all this? Let us know what your thoughts are down in the comments below on everything to do with the Aquilini Group. What do you guys think about their ownership through their tenure of 19 years? Do you think it's time for a change, or do you think that you bring in a partial owner to work in a partnership with them so that they can still maintain their vision of trying to bring a cup to Vancouver within their ownership? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below, and let us know what you guys think about the draft coming up as far as which players you want to see the Canucks go after with their draft picks. Let us know down below. You could see them pop up in a prospect video. We're going to be pumping those out just like we did last season, along with all the free agency stuff that's going to be coming out, so you won't want to miss that. But with that, I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.